Hi, this is Jane Fendelman with the Vagina Report. Yes. In this video, I interview 5 women, one of whom started out with the body of a man and then became a woman. So very, very interesting people, all with very different stories on how they like their vaginas touched in order to be able to come to orgasm. This is such an important topic. We feel like in this day and age, with all the information out there, men especially feel like they should already know. And this is not the case. So I want to clear up this myth right now, once and for all. So when I was a young girl in the early 50s, there was a book that came out called the Kinsey Report. And Dr. Kinsey realized, and I believe he was a botanist and a biologist, he realized that people weren't talking about their sexuality, and there were many, many things that were even against the law that people were doing regularly. For instance, homosexuality or anal sex. There were sexual acts that were considered perverted or unacceptable until the Kinsey Report came out, and then everybody went, oh, okay, so everybody's having this problem or everybody's doing this. And so this is what I hope to do, is dispel some myths about what men should already know, and they don't need to know, they can just ask to find out how to touch a woman's vagina in order for her to come to orgasm. Okay, so there's lots of information out already, obviously. The Kinsey Report is still good, but a little bit out of date now. Of course, there's the book that came out when I was a little bit older as a young woman called Our Bodies, Ourselves. And there's beautiful drawings in there and instructions and sexual positions. And there's the Kama Sutra, and people study Tantra and all different kinds of things these days. But one of the things that I realized people still don't know about, now, first of all, I'm 58 and a single woman, and I've been realizing more and more lately, especially since I just got to play in the Vagina monologues again. I do acting for fun, so I get to play the woman who loved to make vaginas happy. It got me thinking. I have clients coming to me, single or married, and the women still aren't having orgasms. So first I want to talk about what men should already know and what we don't want you to expect yourself to know. How to touch a woman's vagina. We don't expect you to know that. Sure, maybe some women expect you to know that, but I hope those women are not being mean and impatient with you. So what I want you to know, men, is not only does every woman like to be touched in a different way in order to be able to orgasm, but if you have one woman over a long period of time, she likes to be touched in different ways on different days, sometimes depending upon where she is in her menstrual cycle. So women are really complicated. Their, juicy parts, special parts are hidden in between lots of folds of skin. They're not obvious and hanging right out there like men's parts are. So first of all, you gotta dig in there and figure out where's her clitoris, and is she having clitoral orgasms? Is she having vaginal orgasms? And I want you to hang in and watch all the way to the end of the video, because at the end of this video, I do explain exactly how to give your woman a feminine, full body, extended orgasm, a vaginal or a G-spot orgasm, which we call sacred spot in Tantra. G-spot is, it's the most sacred spot on a woman, and so Dr. Graftensteinberg thought he discovered it and named it after himself, the G-spot. So in white Western culture, the most sacred spot on a woman is named after this man, this male doctor, which is kind of ridiculous and funny. So in Tantra, we call it the sacred spot. And I explain exactly where that is and exactly how to give your woman a sacred spot or a G-spot orgasm or a vaginal extended full body orgasm. It's some of the same, it's a little different, but that's another video. We'll do a Tantra video one day and it'll be that. But I explain easily how to give your woman a feminine full body extended orgasm. So back to what do we expect you to know? You don't have to know anything. It's okay to ask. Like, I just had a client in. She's right around my age. She started coming in a few months ago. She hadn't been sexually active in a number of years, and she's getting back to dating again. She has a new lover, and she just found out that this lovely young man is just as tight-lipped about asking her, what do you need to come, as any man she ever met through all her years of growing up and having other lovers and beloveds. So we have to find a way to communicate that doesn't get the woman up in her head and talking. And I explain more about this after the video too. And also you'll see in the interviews, this issue comes up and the women talk about how talking too much about what to do and when to do it and how hard and how fast gets her up in her head, and that takes her out of her body, and then she takes even longer to orgasm. Also, men, we want you to know that it normally takes a woman longer to orgasm than a man. That's okay. There's a few reasons why. And I want to go straight to one question that I asked all the women after we had put the cameras away and turned off the lights. It occurred to me to ask them who of them had ever faked an orgasm. And of the 5 women that I interviewed, only one of them had never faked an orgasm. And that was the woman who had started out with the body of a man. She had never faked an orgasm. Why do women fake orgasms? There's a few reasons. One is they don't want their man to feel defeated. Lots of times they'll say he was doing all the right stuff, it's just I couldn't get out of my head, or I didn't feel connected with him, or we had had a fight a couple days before and I could feel that lingering in me. So a woman really has to be clear. Her mind has to be clear. She has to be fully present in the now moment with just the feeling. Even if a woman starts worrying, is it taking too long? Am I taking too long? That'll make it take even longer. So sometimes she'll fake her orgasm just because she doesn't want her man to feel defeated. And sometimes she'll fake the orgasm just because he's been working so hard at it, it's going on for so long, she just wants to save his ego. And instead of telling him, that's the right pressure and the right speed, you've just been left of my clitoris the entire time. She doesn't want to say that because after a while, she's hoping he'll find his way over there. She doesn't want to say after 10, 15, 20 minutes, by the way, you're not on the spot. So, and if you don't know where the clitoris is, Google it and you'll see a diagram exactly where it is. And it's different on every woman. So you gotta just take a look in there sometimes. Just part the Red Sea and just look in there. So the other reason a woman will fake her orgasm is because she feels like there's something wrong with her. A woman, and you'll see in the interview, I ask each woman, how long did it take you between the time you were sexually active and the time you actually had your first orgasm given to you by a man? It's a long time for some women, and for one woman, no man has been able to yet. So a woman starts to feel like there's something wrong with me. And most young women don't orgasm when they first have sex. Also, by the way, most women, I think the statistic is 60% women don't orgasm during sexual intercourse because the clitoris is not close enough to the vaginal opening to cause enough friction to cause an orgasm. So, because of the way men are built, and because young men, they can get it up and get off within a few minutes. When a young woman has sex with her young lover or lovers, when she's young, she sees him orgasming very quickly, or she sees movies where the woman orgasms through intercourse very quickly with her man. she starts to think there's something wrong with me. And when a woman starts to think there's something wrong with me, she thinks I better fake my orgasm so that I seem normal. And that's how it happens lots of times. So, last but not least, before we go straight to our interviews now, I want to say, men, it's okay to ask. How do you like to be touched? What would give you greatest joy? What can I do to bring you to orgasm? And while you're going on with it, while you're doing it, busy pleasuring her, it's okay to every now and then say, how's this? Because most women, especially young women, are frightened to say what they want in the moment while it's happening. And I even had one woman tell me she had a man, they had been out on a date, they got in bed, he went straight for her clitoris. She said, that's really lovely and feels great, but would you mind touching the rest of me first? And he looked up at her and he collapsed into a defeated state. Baby man. The baby man can't take any feedback. He just collapsed and he couldn't come back from it. So their night of pleasure and sex was ruined just because he couldn't take one little direction. So I want to say, men, if you want to be with a woman, you have to ask, not too much, but not too little. And you have to be able to take feedback and pleasure her. And also, it takes a while, especially first time. So she has to get used to the way you touch her. She has to get used to you. She has to be able to forget that you're there, because presence is one of the biggest, most important things. And here's the last thing I'll say, and it's about that, presence. Woman has to be fully present with the feeling and forget the man, because the big mistake women make is they're too hyper-focused on, how's my man feeling? Is he getting bored? Is he getting tired? Is his fingers or his tongue getting tired? And man has to be fully present too. If the man is thinking, oh my God, when's this gonna happen? When's she gonna come? Or, geez, I'm losing my heart on, can we just have sex now? She can feel you thinking that. Honestly, if you don't believe me, tough, because this is a true thing. She can feel you thinking that, and it'll translate through your touch or your tongue, and she won't come. It'll take longer and sometimes never. Also, you're going to want to cut out drinking or pot, because that delays and sometimes takes away hers and your orgasm too. Okay, so now we're going straight to the interviews. Thanks for watching. I'm really excited you're going to see this. I hope you learn a lot. Hi.
Hi.
So, tell me your name first, please.
My name is Heather.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for coming to talk to me about this.
Of course.
No pun intended. Thank you for coming. So, Heather.
Of course.
So, you answered my call to come and speak about how you like your vagina touched. I'm doing interviews, and here we are to do that.
Yes.
So it's a really important topic as a couples counselor I've found, and an individual counselor I've found. Lots of men and sometimes gay women too don't really know how to touch the vagina or are uncomfortable asking, and so I really appreciate, I appreciate your willingness to come and talk about this very personal topic.
Yes.
So thank you.
No worries.
So my first question is, from the time you first became sexually active in your life, in your entire life, your first sexual experience, whether it was intercourse or heavy petting, from that beginning moment, how long was it before a man, and you're heterosexual, right?
Yes.
How long was it before a man was able to bring you to orgasm, either through intercourse or digital or oral stimulation? And we're speaking specifically not about vibrators and mechanical tools. We're talking about just Manual
Hands
stimulation.
on, yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it was 2 years, probably 6 different lovers before I found one who knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. So 2 years. So are you comfortable saying how old you were when you started and how old you were?
I was 13 when I became sexually active.
And your first lover who was able to bring you to orgasm was when you were 15?
When I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I found, well, the first few were bumbling teenage boys, but then I found an older man that knew what he was doing. And that opened a whole new world because I had been masturbating since I was a little girl. So I knew how to bring myself to orgasm. But in order to get, to have a man, and I wasn't very good at explaining what I needed. Right. But to have a man finally figure that out, it was about 2 years.
Are you comfortable saying how old that man was?
Oh, he was 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I married him. It's okay.
Oh, you did?
I did.
You ended up marrying that man. Are you still married to that man?
I am still married to him.
The first man
years.
who struck gold got to keep you.
Absolutely.
Nice. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, did he know what to do because he was older and more experienced?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that you knew how to tell him better. It was more that he knew more what he was doing?
He was just really good. Yeah, he was really good at what he was doing. And I had known him in high school, and he had a reputation for being good with the ladies. Oh. So when I finally got a chance to date him, I was like, well, okay. We slept together on our first date. So yeah, I wanted to try that out.
Because I think for my generation, I'm 58. So I grew up in the 60s and everybody was very open sexually. So it was not unusual for us to do it on the first date, which I think we kind of changed things. So that's how it happens for a lot of young people now. But I don't know if you're as old as I am.
No, I'm 44.
So I think my generation, everybody after us, they felt more free to be sexual on the first date. So that was not as big a deal. And you were already very sexually experienced from a younger age.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. We're going to get to how exactly each woman likes her vagina touched to come to orgasm. Or some women don't need to be touched to come to orgasm. Right. They just have intercourse and they come to orgasm. So I know that's a difference between many women, and some women like both. But do you feel like you like and need a lot of other foreplay, the rest of your body touched, or sometimes yes, sometimes no?
Oh no, go right to the bullseye.
You do?
I mean, the breasts are off limits. They've nursed so many babies. There's no feeling in them anymore anyway. Enjoy them all you want, but it's not doing anything for me. But then, go straight for the bullseye, please. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you like a certain position? Do you have to be lying in a certain position, or it doesn't matter?
Absolutely doesn't matter because of the way I like it touched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you could be in any position. You could be
sitting up, standing up, lying
in the
down.
car.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now talking about how you like to be touched, is there a certain speed or pressure? Fingers or tongue are better? Do you like a finger or fingers inside and a finger or fingers on your clitoris? How do you like that?
Oh. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I hate. I hate when they go straight for the bullseye, but they pry you open like an exam and they start shuffling around looking for your clitoris. Luckily, we're past that. He knows where it is. I love a cup and grind.
Oh, with the palm of the hand?
Absolutely. Get that palm against my clitoris, maybe have the fingers around the entrance, play with putting a finger in while you're grinding.
Okay, so like palms on the top and fingers down below.
And let me do the grinding because I don't expect you to be a mind reader, and it's really hard to figure out how much pressure I want. Right. So if you provide the apparatus, being your palm, I can grind against you to orgasm.
Do you like him making any noise, or is that distracting to you? Is he speaking to you during, or talking sexy, talking dirty?
Love it. I love to be commanded.
So you like an assertive male energy.
Yes. I don't like a belittling.
Right.
Don't call me girl. Don't call me sweet. Don't call me sweet. But encourage my orgasm for you as a man. Come on, baby. That's what I want. Show me how much you love me. Give me that. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Love it.
That's very good. So, okay, the palms on top, the fingers are inside, or maybe not all the way inside, or
Not
both?
all the way inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't like the hook penetration.
Yeah.
You know,
that can be a little painful if a man has a finger hooked up against the bone that's up at the top. Sometimes a man gets a bad angle when he's going in and out, and really.
And
really
I feel like all the nerve endings of your vagina are right there at the opening. So just play with spreading the opening and, you know, give me clitoral stimulation at the same time.
Okay. And so now later at the end of this video, I'm going to be talking about extended orgasm, a full body feminine orgasm, which is easy to get. So all you women are going to learn how to have an extended full body orgasm today at the end of this video. And that is a sacred spot orgasm, which in white Western culture we call the G-spot, which is ridiculous because it's named after a man. Dr. Graftenberg, something. Graftenberg, yeah. It's ridiculous. So tantric masters have known about the sacred spot for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so some scientist thinks that he discovered it, and so he named it after himself. Named it after himself. It's hilarious. So, but it's very easy after you have a clitoral orgasm to then have a sacred spot orgasm if the man enters you with medium speed strokes, which we'll talk about later a little bit more, and it'll give you a feminine full body orgasm. But so to have an orgasm, a clitoral orgasm, you don't need any fingers inside, and that's fine. And then do you guys usually move straight to sex after you have a clitoral? When does your orgasm usually happen? At the beginning of the lovemaking? In the middle, after?
Which one? Days? You're assuming I'm only having one during the lovemaking session.
Oh, okay. So tell me. Are you multi-orgasmic?
Absolutely. No, we generally start with a clitoral orgasm, and that will be before he is even aroused, and that's what will arouse him. Mm-hmm. And then... Because
a good man, have you noticed a good man gets the majority of his pleasure from seeing his woman enjoy and ecstasy and aroused.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's times where we don't even deal with him. You know, it's all about me.
Oh, he's a good man. He just gives you orgasms.
Exactly.
You know, in Tantra we say the woman comes first and more.
I love it. I love it. It's perfect. Usually, though, I prefer to have a clitoral orgasm first. That gets everything lubricated, everything's ready, and then I love to be pounded. Just pound me. Hopefully by that time he's aroused enough where because I kind of don't want to lose my high. You know, I'm orgasming, I'm here. I want to be penetrated and get right back there. If I have to stop and go down on him or something like that, you know, to arouse him, I'm kind of going to lose my mojo. Then I'm usually able to have a G-spot orgasm very easily after I've had a clitoral orgasm.
So, and just I want to make sure and hit this point because women were taught for many, many years that a clitoral orgasm was inferior to a G-spot orgasm or a sacred spot orgasm. And I want to clear that up right now. A clitoral orgasm is not inferior to a vaginal orgasm.
Right.
A vaginal or G-spot or sacred spot orgasm is great in a different way. A vaginal orgasm is a pulsation that goes for a longer period of time. It's more of a subtle, strong energy that floods through your entire body. A clitoral orgasm is genitally located, and it happens in the clitoris, and it's over in a few seconds. So there are two different orgasms, and one's not better than the other. And it's great when you can have both. So you will orgasm then during intercourse.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We have figured out angles and shapes and penetration angles.
What's the best angle for you to have a sacred spot orgasm?
Because my husband's penis is textbook. It's straight out. You know, I wish he had one of those that kind of tilted up towards his belly button because that would rub better. So we have just, over the years, 28 years of having sex, figured out exactly the right angle. And so I'm able to just, again, grind against it. I've learned to take control of my own orgasms, clitoral or vaginal, just in how I can adjust my hips and adjust my receptiveness and pressure to penetration.
How many times on average do you guys have sex a week?
Probably four times.
That's good after 28 years.
Right. I still like his penis.
That's so awesome. He won't mind you saying that about his penis.
Not at all. No.
He's a good man. He's a good man. Do you need him to touch you differently at different times of the month? Are you still menstruating?
I'm not. I had a hysterectomy at 38.
Okay. And when you were younger, because women's bodies change throughout the month, and do you need to be touched one way at a certain time of the month and touched a different way at another time of the month?
I still do, because I still have my ovaries, and so I think I still cycle, because I definitely still PMS. Yes, closer to my period, it's definitely rougher and more pressure, and then right after my period, I want very light touch, flicking, gentle exploration. But building up through the month, from the beginning of my cycle to, when I would have my period, it's definitely rougher right before my period.
Got it. Yeah. That's such powerful information, because I think most men don't realize, because their body is pretty much one way all through the month, they don't realize that you touch a woman like this on one day, and she's in heaven. And then she ovulates overnight, and you touch her the exact same way the next day, and she's like, "Stop it! It feels like you're burning me with a cigarette." So, so it's great for men to know. Men have a really hard job. My hat is really off to them, because you have to learn how to touch your woman. You have to learn to touch all women differently, and you have to learn how to touch them differently on different days. And if a woman has ovulated, and she's getting premenstrual, and that energy's torquing up, he has to match her energy. He has to read her energy and match her energy.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yes. So now, when do you need your man to stop? Once you've had that clitoral orgasm, when should he stop whatever he's doing? Because to get you there, he has to keep on doing whatever he's doing.
Right.
And when do you want him to stop? Do you tell him to stop, or does he read your energy and know it's time to stop rubbing whatever?
Well, he starts to feel the orgasm, because with the clitoral orgasm, everything starts to pulsate and get really tight. And he knows then to squeeze and cup. I love to have my vagina pressed together. I disengage the whole clitoris and smash it together and cup it hard until the orgasm is over. And then I usually lubricate out my vagina, and then he moves on to vagina work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he can feel the pulsing subsiding?
In my clitoris. Yeah.
He feels it subsiding, and then he stops?
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. Have you ever ejaculated?
Once or twice. It was, okay, good. It was really surprising.
If you remind me, I have a good friend who sent me a video. It's from Pornhub, so sorry, lots of other pop-ups will happen. But just remind me, and I'll send you the video on how he can easily follow these simple directions to help you with female ejaculation. Super simple.
Wow.
And
the couple of times it's happened, it's made me really uncomfortable.
Because it's like a flood.
Exactly.
And the bed gets soaked.
Yeah. Well, we sleep in separate beds, so I'll just go back to my dry bed.
He is a good man. He sleeps in the wet spot.
Exactly.
But if you know how to control it, then you can always put towels down before you go to it.
Yeah.
What about it made you uncomfortable exactly?
I think because I've had so many children that I kind of mistook it for urinary incontinence at first.
Yeah.
And then I was afraid if I lost control to the point where I was going to, flood out like that also I might pee at the same time. So I just prefer not to.
Oh, you should see the video. I'm going to send you that video. So thank you so much, Heather. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you for talking to me, and thank you for being so candid.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Tell me your name, please.
MG, like the car.
MG, like the car. That's a great car. I used to.
It is. They're super cute, right?
They're so cute. I had a boyfriend in high school who had an MG.
Awesome.
So cute. Are you named after that car?
I wish I was, because those cars are cute, but no, it's an acronym. I was named after somebody, a close family friend, and it's just easier to shorten it to MG so that people don't mess my name up.
Got it. So MG, from the time you were very first sexually active, first ever in your life, whether that was petting or actual intercourse, to the time a person was able to actually give you an orgasm, how much time passed?
Oh goodness. Now I have to math in my head. Okay, so first sexual experience was at 14, and until somebody, oh my goodness, it probably wasn't until maybe like my early to mid 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, like early 20s.
14 to early.
So yeah, so we're probably talking like 7-8 years maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a man or a woman?
Well, my first sexual experience was with a woman.
Okay.
First time I was brought to orgasm by somebody other than myself was with a man.
Okay.
Who was a bit older than me.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And did you know that you were lesbian or gay? Are you bisexual?
I guess I would consider myself bisexual. I'm primarily attracted to women, but I'm not completely closed off to, being with men if I vibe with the right guy. It's just more. I just tend to vibe with women more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in a relationship right now?
I am.
Okay, and that's with a man or a woman?
It's with a man. I am married.
Okay.
And we're polyamorous.
Oh, okay.
So I've had female companions throughout our marriage also.
Understood. Okay, great. When you're having a sexual encounter with your mate or a lover, do you like or need the rest of your body touched, or do you like them to go
Absolutely.
straight for it?
I live for the full body experience. There's some times when it's just, when you just get those moments where you're just really like, God, I just need to get laid like right now. Then yeah, you can just go straight in and, get in and get her done. But most oftenly, I prefer the full body experience. Like I like a lot of foreplay. I like a lot of touching. My back is a erogenous zone. Like seriously, like that, like will turn me on more than anything else.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's easy for you, and has it always been, to express to a lover, here's what I need, here's what I'd like, slower, faster, to the side, to the left?
It really depends on the person. If they tend to need a lot of help, then it kind of just turns me off. But if they have a good idea of like, okay, they seem really into it and they seem to want to know what works, but they kind of have an idea of what they're doing at the same time, then I feel more comfortable and more open to guide them to what I like. But if it's somebody who either is completely clueless or really timid in the bedroom, then I kind of tend to feed off of that, and I'm like, am I really? It just really kind of, if I'm not turned on, I'm not going to kind of get into the moment of wanting to guide them either,
Got it. Do you find it's gotten easier for you to be more vocal about what you need as you've gotten more experienced and older?
Yeah, I was younger. When I was younger, I was extremely shy about it. So
right.
Yeah, I was.
You can't say.
I was raised Catholic, so yeah, it was. You just don't like. It was a household where you have nicknames for your body parts. So, going from that to
like what nickname?
It was called in my house. Vagina was called a foo-foo, and boys had a winky. Like no joke.
No,
so I didn't even know it was called a vagina until like high school health class. I'm not even kidding. So,
wow.
Yeah.
High school health class. Yeah.
Freshman in high school. That's when I first learned what a vagina was.
Sometimes religious programming can cause sexual blocks, and that's great that you were able to overcome that. Amazing.
Oh yeah, big time.
It takes a lot. My hat is off to you. So, okay. Do you have to be lying in a certain position? So can you orgasm through intercourse or mainly through manual stimulation? So we're not talking about gizmos or gadgets for these interviews. We're talking about strictly manual stimulation.
Okay.
So can you come through oral, digital stimulation, and or intercourse?
All of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Great.
I prefer like clitoral stimulation first, whether it's manual or oral, preferably oral. But whether it's manual or oral, like the clitoral stimulation first, and then once you just kind of hit like the peak of that, then vaginal stimulation just as aggressively as possible to finish her off.
Got it.
So yeah.
Do you know, now women don't always know if they're having a vaginal or a sacred spot orgasm, a G-spot orgasm. Do you know if you are? Can you tell? Is there more pulsing? Do you feel it throughout your body?
It's definitely, it definitely, I wouldn't necessarily say I feel it throughout my body, because I can feel it throughout my body even with a clitoral stimulation orgasm. But it's definitely a different sensation. It's more of an internalized kind of, like gentler wave, but not quite as, super intense all at once, but still like just as awesome. It just kind of feels more like, not really controlled so much as just more, I guess, subtle, for lack of a better term. So
that's how I describe it too.
Yeah.
And when we talk at the end, when I go over how to actually cause a feminine full body sacred spot orgasm or G-spot orgasm,
Right.
or vaginal orgasm, we'll be talking about how sometimes, because women do usually after a clitoral orgasm want their mate to get in me fast and pound. And
true, I'm like that for sure.
what I'm going to be, they love that. It feels great.
Right.
But what I'm going to be teaching, you'll see at the end of the video, is if the woman will do a deep in breath and a kegel and an out breath and relax, and if the lover will use his penis, or if it's a female lover, a dildo or fingers, but I'll just call it penis
penetration.
For penetration. We'll use medium speed strokes. Then, and the woman does this controlled breathing, she will have an extended full body orgasm that can last for 15 minutes or half an hour or 3 hours, and continue after the intercourse is finished.
Right.
If she wants, for a day or 3 days.
Just keep going. Just keep riding that wave until you can't.
All she has to do is do this controlled breathing during, and the kegel kind of squeezing.
Right.
So it's a way to have. So what happens usually, and I'm doing a little teach on what's coming at the end. This is sort of a teaser, sneak preview.
Gotcha.
What happens when the man does hard fast strokes right in the beginning after the clitoral orgasm, is the woman will dump the majority of her sexual energy in the first few strokes.
Okay.
And after like 15 minutes, if he can hang on that long, she will just be, okay, now you can finish.
Yeah.
After 10 or 15 minutes.
There have been times where I completely understand like what you're talking about, because I've actually, I guess, accidentally experienced that, where after the intercourse is done and you're still kind of just riding that after wave, and I'll just, just kind of sit there and just be like, continue, like, just kegling just to kind of keep it going. And he's like, whether I've experienced this with like my husband and with 2 different girlfriends, where it's like, Are you still coming? Yeah, it's literally been that conversation. And it's like, do you want me to touch? She's like, no, don't touch me.
Don't touch.
I'm good. Just don't touch me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
it's like,
right.
Everything is really sensitive right now, but hold on. Yeah.
Right, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's really great. I've had that where I was shaking and crying for 3 hours after he was gone out the door. Goodbye.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Hasn't been quite
So good.
Yeah.
It really shakes you to your core. It like clears out all the cobwebs.
Right.
So good. Do you need to be in a certain position to come to have an orgasm during manual stimulation and or intercourse?
I just need to be relaxed. If I feel like I'm straining too much, or if it's just too much physical work, then I can't relax enough to orgasm. So regardless of the position, if I just feel relaxed physically, then I'm fine. So creative positions are fun to play with, but if you're trying to have an orgasm, it's just not very effective.
Do you have to, if you have a busy mind, how long does it take you to orgasm, and does it take longer if you have a busy mind?
It absolutely takes longer if it varies. I've had times when it's just, been over and done with really quickly, and I've had times when it's taken me a long time, and that's usually like at times when I'm, overthinking, or if I'm stressed, or
is he or she getting tired? Am I taking too long? And then it gets in your head.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, and if I feel like it's taking too long, and it's like, oh, you're right there. Oh no, you're not. No, it's right there. Oh, never mind.
And then you start feeling disappointed.
And then you start feeling like, why can't I come? Yeah.
And that totally takes you out of the now moment, and then you
exactly,
don't come.
Exactly.
That's right. So you can come during, okay, we already asked you that.
Right.
So for manual or oral stimulation, does it take a certain speed and pressure or type of movement, circles or up and down or fingers, tongue, palm of the hand?
It's just steady and like moderate pressure. Like, I like the friction more than like pressure. So like moderate friction, a little bit of pressure.
Is it back and forth or circles, or doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
And it doesn't matter whether it's fingers or tongue.
I prefer tongue, but fingers are just as effective if they know what they're doing. They do have a lot to navigate, though, because I am pierced down there. Mm-hmm. So, which the rumors about clitoral hood piercings are lies. Oh my God. If you're doing it for stimulation, it's a waste of money. If you're doing it because you want her to look pretty, cool. But yeah, sometimes it's helpful during stimulation. Sometimes it's just kind of in the way. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so either way, yeah, it's as far as like back and forth, up and down circles, it doesn't matter.
And does it matter if it's fingertips or pads of fingers? Sometimes women say fingertips are too intense on the tip.
Like that's, especially if you're with somebody who has nails, then it's got to be like flat finger,
like two together?
Yep, two together, like flat fingers and just go to town. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you need anything inside, fingers inside while your clitoris being stimulated?
Not during, though. Immediately following, yes, but it's either inside or outside, not at the same time. It's like, Mom, in or out, shut the door, It's, either, I cannot, and I've had lovers that can only orgasm with both. Mm-hmm. And I'm one that I can only go one way or the other. I can orgasm both vaginally and with clitoral stimulation, but not at the same time, because as soon as, if you're working the clitoris and everything's going great, as soon as you put your fingers in me, nothing's going to happen.
It distracts you.
Yeah.
It takes your focus away from the feeling.
Exactly. But then if you stop up here and then you're working in here, then okay, we can build something on that,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got you. Okay. So when should your partner stop? Once you orgasm, when do you need them to stop, especially on the clitoris? And do you find you probably find that it's different on the clitoris? Yeah. They need to stop.
There is absolutely
with vaginal penetration that can continue after the orgasm without it getting too sensitive.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
so that's different.
And there will reach a point where I'm like, oh my God, stop, get off me,
mm-hmm.
But
because it gets too sensitive.
It gets way too sensitive. It gets way too sensitive after you orgasm. I can ride it out longer, and I try to ride it out as long as I possibly can.
Do you need them to lighten up at that point a little bit after you've had a clitoral orgasm? You need them.
I've never
continue but lighten.
I've never really had too much of a problem. It's like they can usually, if I'm having an orgasm, it's like, oh hey, job is done, and they kind of either tend to ease up, or with my husband, he tends to go even harder, and I'm like, no, he's up. I have to, tell him, it's like slow down, and then I'll tell him, okay, stop.
Yeah.
And then that's his cue to, go in, and it's usually going in with fingers before, so it'll be like clit, fingers, and then intercourse.
Penetration. So he hasn't quite learned that thing that you have to lighten up after a clitoral orgasm.
He just tends to follow my cues. He knows what he's learned what works with me, mm-hmm. and he just kind of does what he knows works and follows my cues. And
so you just tell him.
Yeah, and just kind of, and it's gone from okay, stop to just like a gentle nudge or a nod or something like that. But yeah, not really, over the years, it hasn't really been retained enough to where, do X, Y, and Z and can kind of just go on autopilot, and he knows what works for me in that way. He still watches for my cues. Mm-hmm. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think women are more tuned into the subtle energies of a woman? Reading the subtle cues?
In my experience, they're really, and it could just be just with the people that I've had that my experiences have been, is that there really hasn't been too much of a difference. Because like some of the women that I've been with have had experiences with women before, and some of them have not, where I was there first, mm-hmm. And really didn't know what to expect. So it's, it really varies as far as like, being in tune to those cues, or being in tune to what works or what doesn't, mm-hmm. how to do certain things, how to touch you in a certain way, and, things like that. So, It's really kind of 50-50 between men and women.
Okay, that's interesting. Good to know. Okay, and how many times would you say is your average sexual experience in a week?
It's been a while.
It's been a little while. So it's decreased right now.
Yeah. Homegirl is pent up.
Oh, I understand. That happens sometimes. I think
It does.
people go through waves in their sex life.
Yeah.
Well, MG, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
talking with me.
This was fun.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is awesome.
Hi, please tell me your name.
Hi, Jane. My name is Arana.
Welcome, Arana. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me about this important topic.
I'm so glad you invited me.
Okay, so from your first sexual encounter, whether that was petting or actual sexual intercourse, to the time somebody brought you to orgasm, how much time was that?
Bare minimum a decade. I think I started with, the making out and heavy petting when I was about 13, lost my virginity at 14, had one accidental orgasm at 16, and I say accidental because it happened, but I never figured out how to recreate it.
Right.
And then it was probably in my early to mid 20s before I, unlocked the secret code of how to make it happen.
Right, so 10 years.
Yeah.
And when that first happened, was it, and you're heterosexual, right?
Yes.
And was it with a man that you explained what to do, or somebody who knew more about what to do?
No, it was a man who figured out the secret was how to pay attention. To pay attention to my breathing, my body's responses. Mm-hmm. I mean, he played my body like a musical instrument.
Oh, I've heard people say that's such a lovely expression. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's kind of fantastic.
That's so great. So, on the average, about how long does it take you to orgasm in a sex? Do you have a lover or beloved or a husband right now?
I do not. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like the wind blowing. Sometimes I can be orgasming within a minute or two of contact, sometimes 15, 20 minutes of hard work or more. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Right. Do you find that having a busy mind or relaxing into the moment, relaxing into the feeling makes a difference for you?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think the juxtaposition of the lack of pressure to orgasm increases my likelihood of orgasming.
Can you explain that a little bit?
If I feel that my partner is just there enjoying the journey and enjoying the sensations and enjoying the spending time with me and the touch, mm-hmm. and it's not a race to the finish line, we're really just going to absolutely enjoy these moments together and live in the moment. And if we come, great. If not, oh well, we've still had this much pleasure.
That's great.
I'm almost guaranteed to orgasm.
Right.
If there's are you going to come? Are you going to come? Hey, are you going to come?
Yeah.
Almost a guarantee I won't.
Right. The impatient, okay, let's get that done so we can get to what I want, which is the pumping.
Right.
Oh, that's such a big point. That's really good. Do you find that there's any kind of a need to really relax and give over to your lover? Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes women are in their head and they're trying to get their orgasm and they're doing that thing to themselves. That thing that you just said, like, am I going to come? Am I going to come? Am I going to come or not? And if she relaxes into the moment, sort of just gives over to what her beloved's doing, then sometimes she's more likely to
yes.
orgasm.
Yes. For me, yes.
So it's a very fine line, I find, between letting your lover know what you want and need and also letting your lover be in charge, mm-hmm. Which is great too. Or maybe it makes a difference on that if that's a woman who likes a more assertive or commanding mate as opposed to a woman who prefers to be more in charge. Maybe that makes a difference.
And I'm versatile. I certainly go back and forth for whether or not I'm in charge or I like to relinquish control.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that I trust that they know what they're doing, then I have absolutely no problem relinquishing control. Mm-hmm. But very often I'll
That's a big point.
Sit back and say, okay, do your thing. And then I quickly find that they need a lot of pointers.
Right. Sometimes. And were you always good at saying what you want and needed, or did you have to learn to get more comfortable doing that?
I definitely had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if it's a universal that we as women are told to keep our mouth shut and let the man be the boss, or if it was just my own personal insecurities or a combination of all of the above, but it definitely took a long time before I became comfortable asking for what I wanted.
That's good. And now you are more. Okay, so do you prefer fingers, tongue, intercourse?
Oh, tongue, absolutely, every time, all the time, for as long a time as possible.
That's good. And do you notice the difference between a pointy tongue that's like darting and swirling and doing things like that, as opposed to a soft, flat tongue?
Much prefer the soft, flat tongue. The pointy tip of the tongue with the darting feels almost more amateurish, and as though my partner is always afraid to get in there.
And do you need circles back and forth? Do you have to start with a soft pressure and build up to harder?
I prefer soft pressure the entire time. I actually enjoy being penetrated with my fingers while being stimulated on my clitoris.
With your fingers or his fingers? His fingers. And 1 or 2 fingers or 3 fingers? Or doesn't matter?
1 or 2, but either remaining still or moving very slowly.
Do you find it distracting if the fingers are moving too much or too hard? It
Yes.
distracts you from the sensation on the clitoris?
Yes.
Yes. That's a big point. Men, big point. It's nice when fingers inside for women who like it. But if it's too much on the fingers inside, it takes away from the feeling on the clitoris.
But then the other big juxtaposition and irony is the way to get me to come hard and fast is to move gently and slow.
With the tongue. Right.
Yeah, like the slower and gentler the oral action on the clit is, the more likely I am to orgasm very intensely, very quickly.
That's awesome. And then now most women, actually there's a statistic that 65% women don't orgasm during intercourse because the clitoris is not close enough to the vaginal opening to get enough stimulation and friction. So most women need a clitoral orgasm before intercourse. So do you orgasm during sexual intercourse, or is it mainly through clitoral orgasm?
Mainly clitoral orgasm. I have occasionally had a vaginal orgasm, but not on a regular basis, and nothing I could count on or expect.
Right. It just feels good.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just a great feeling after you've had a clitoral orgasm.
Right.
That's really good. Okay. Do you find that you need different type of touch during the month? Do you have a cycle?
I've honestly not noticed. I mean, I will say that, my desires definitely vary by mood. That sometimes I want, the waves crashing, orchestras playing, rose petals, love me tender. And sometimes I want the animalistic, primal, fuck me till I'm raw.
So it's different times of the month. It has nothing to do with your menstrual cycle.
Not that I've not noticed or, taken a tally of it.
It might be interesting. You should maybe get back to me and let me know about that. And when you are sexually active, are you sexually active lately?
With myself.
With yourself? That's good. That's good. When you have a beloved, what's a normal average number of times in a week that you prefer?
I like 2 to 3 times a week.
2 or 3 times a week. That's good. Okay. Arana, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane.
My pleasure. It's been really lovely.
It's been a blast.
Hi. Thanks for
Hi.
being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me your name, please.
Camille.
Camille, thank you so much for talking to me about this really important topic.
Of course.
So, Camille, when were you first sexually active? I mean, petting or intercourse?
Oh, 15.
15?
Yeah.
And when was the first time a partner gave you an orgasm?
So I've had orgasms with people, but they never brought me to orgasm.
Okay. And also through pleasuring yourself?
Basically, yes.
Through pleasuring yourself with a partner?
Yes.
Okay.
So there may have been penetration, but it was never, the orgasm never came because of the partner. Really.
And it didn't matter if it was their it didn't matter if they tried digital or oral stimulation or you're heterosexual, right?
Right.
So it didn't matter whether it was penis, vagina, penetration, oral or digital stimulation. You have not had a lover bring you to orgasm.
Nope. And I'm 35, and I'm just looking at the clock thinking, I wonder if this will ever happen in my lifetime. So
Yeah.
I've had pleasure, but I've never been able to get over the hump. It always felt like it became sort of a
Mental
stress.
block?
Yeah.
It became a mental block.
It was stressful. It became stressful.
I understand.
Yeah.
For many, many, many women, they aren't able to have an orgasm through a lover giving them stimulation, and it starts to feel like, what's wrong with me?
Exactly.
And then that becomes a mental block, and that is a normal thing that happens to a lot of women.
Yeah.
And so I've told a lot of women as a counselor that sometimes it doesn't happen for women until into their 30s, sometimes into their 40s,
Yeah.
and sometimes not until you get a man who says, well, I adore you, and I'm just going to camp out down here, and I'm not leaving. I'm moving in, and I'm not moving out down here.
Oh my gosh.
Until it happens. And I actually had a client one time who she had been married for a number of years, got divorced, started dating, had a man, met her first man, and she was, I want to say 38 years old. Wow. She was orgasmic. She could bring herself to orgasm, but that was it. And she met a man who she dated, not particularly special, handsome, attractive, sexy. He just, their second or third time in bed, he just said, I'm really sad that you're not able to orgasm. And I want you to relax and allow me to give you an orgasm. And he went down. He was performing oral sex. And she said, I think she said the first time it took her an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
She kept on going up into her head saying, oh my God, it's taking me so long. He's got me tired.
Yeah.
And it takes you out of the
Yeah.
moment. She had that mental
Yeah.
block. It's never going to happen. And he just said, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving until this happens. And tell you another story. I had clients years ago who'd been married for 26 years, and they love each other. And he never was able to give her an orgasm, bring her to orgasm. She was orgasmic. And not for lack of trying. He really wanted to. She had Catholic upbringing and had blocks. And I'll never forget, we just started working on some non-sexual touch exercise, tantric exercises. And they came in on, I believe it was their third or fourth session. And they're like, well, she came. I made her come. It took 50 minutes, but I did it. And
Wow.
he was just elated, and she was like, I can't believe this finally happened. So it really takes a man who says, I'm just not leaving until this happens.
Yeah. So I feel like I've had really good partners who have really tried and maybe didn't have the skill set that you can provide to, to do certain sequences, and I haven't had the skill set or the language to be able to explain what to do either.
Do you tell them anything?
Yeah, so all I've known is what is pleasurable for me with myself. So that's what I try to instruct, but it seems like it doesn't work that way.
Do you use fingers or
Yes.
vibrators? Fingers? That's
just fingers,
great.
yeah.
So when a man or your lover is trying, is stuff going on in your head?
Yes, but only when a lot of time passes. And then I think, oh, he's going to get tired, or oh, this is starting to hurt, or oh, this isn't really working.
Yeah.
And mostly being a mom, like my worries in the background, like, is my daughter going to wake up, or, is there a lot going on in my life?
The background noise.
Yeah, it's really hard to turn that off.
It is.
Yeah.
You have to focus on strictly the sensation and be very selfish.
Yeah.
And block everything out. The reason why it takes women longer to orgasm than men is because women are not good at being selfish and blocking everything out. So, you're good at giving instruction, but sometimes giving instruction puts you in your head. Does it ever do that to you?
Very much. And I think there have been a couple of experiences that were negative where I think the man got a little bit like angry or like not happy.
Butt hurt?
Yeah.
His ego collapsed?
Maybe.
That's
yeah.
a baby man. just take the instruction. Oh, men have to be, that's a thing.
And then I pulled back, and I didn't really want to talk about it anymore. I just wanted to, it felt fine, so let's just get it over with. And
Right.
And we'll have mediocre stuff on my end, and you can
And
have
you
the
will orgasm, and then
Yeah.
it adds to the frustration and the,
But I know it is possible. And that's really where my frustration comes in, is that I know the partnership that I want is spiritual, emotional, and physical.
right.
Yeah.
So, and you said you come to the edge and then you don't quite tip over into the orgasm.
Exactly.
Get right to the edge of it.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's the wisdom in your body that is really knowing that, I mean, sometimes it takes just the lightning strikes and it's the right man.
Yeah.
One
hope
can
so.
only hope. One
Yeah.
can only hope. So, on the average, let me ask you this. So when you have a partner that is knowledgeable and loving and wants to please you and pleasure you and is open to taking feedback, do you find that there is a balance and a fine line between you giving instruction and also giving over to the man, giving over to the experience, and sort of releasing control? You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and I've had those experiences with a few people, and it's been good, but it just never got there for some reason. And I feel like a lot of it was because the man tended to speed up when he got excited at my excitement instead of just being stable and steady. And it was hard to tell somebody, just keep doing what you're doing, don't change.
Because as soon as you talk, it takes you out of it.
Yeah, and so it's always
Puts you in your head.
It's been elusive, like just almost there.
I think we need like a little sign with a red, yellow, green that we just hold up. You know, you just hold up the yellow, you know, or the green means speed up and the yellow means slow down, so we don't have to talk and get in our head. We just hold up the sign and just stay in the we need something like that. Maybe
Does somebody make those?
I should patent that. I should copyright
do.
that.
Please
Let me
do.
don't nobody steal that idea. I'm gonna do it.
Even like symbols like hand taps or something would be fine, but
Ooh, that's
I don't
good.
know that I've been with a man who's really been sensitive to wanting that.
Those
or
signals.
People have said they've really wanted that and it's been important to them, but when it came down to it in the process, it was just kind of frustrating for them, it felt like. And that made me feel like there was something wrong with me.
Right. Then they feel like a man who starts to act like now you're being a controlling woman, you know, let me just do my thing and play. Yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing. It takes a good man. It takes a good man to not collapse in the face of feedback. But then it's hard when you feel like you have to give feedback because it puts you up in your head, and it stops the pleasure, sensation. Yeah, it's hard for men, man. They have to be a good and fast learner. So, okie dokie. Now I know we're not talking about mechanical toys, but I just want to ask. Have you ever tried a cock ring with a vibrator where the clitoris thing is?
No, in fact, anytime a vibrator has been introduced, it's been way too much for me. It made it almost feel numb.
You mean like even on the outside, not a dildo, but something on the clitoris?
No, like any vibration of that magnitude has been like way too much for me. It just has felt artificial and it's put me up in my head like I have to feel something good, but it doesn't feel good. It's just like,
right.
It's like,
too much.
Rah.
Yeah.
So I just want to get away from it. I just like really natural touch.
Have you ever laid under the bathtub's faucet?
Yeah, that doesn't do it for me either.
Okay.
I had friends
I'm just curious now. I had friends suggest that.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that would be amazing if that worked, but it really doesn't feel like much to me. I think what has felt good is just methodical, steady stroking, just very simple, and but has never brought me there.
Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna need a really present man.
Yeah.
And then also you're gonna need a really present man who's tuned in and happy to listen and read the energy, and also keep on talking to the voices that pick on us in our head that say, okay, now I'm taking too long. Now I'm mature.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's gonna be probably gonna be a combination of both those things.
Yeah.
So Camille, I appreciate so much you coming and talking about this, because I guarantee you this is not just you.
That's my pleasure, Jane. Thanks for asking.
Not just you. You just helped millions of women that are going to see this and realize, there's nothing wrong with me. Lots of women have this going on, and it is a thing. It is a thing that may very well one day become a non-issue.
I hope so. I hope next time we talk, it will be different.
Will you call me and let me know?
I will.
Jane,
Yes.
guess what just happened? And
Yes.
we'll do a follow-up interview, and you'll tell me exactly what happened.
Thank you. I will.
Okay. Thank you, love. Hello, my dear. Tell me your name.
My name is Tessa.
Tessa, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for speaking with me
of
about
course.
this. So important topic. So now you have a rare and really great story for people to know about, because you didn't start out as a woman. So will you explain about that?
Well, so I am a post-op trans woman. People would argue that I've always been a woman, but I didn't actually realize it till I was about 25, which was a little embarrassing. But yeah, I lived as a heterosexual man for, first 25 odd years of my life, and have lived essentially as a lesbian after that point. So I've kind of had a really unique perspective on sex and relationships.
So your first 25 years that you lived as a man, you had relationships with women. So you have a somewhat male perspective, even though you knew you were a woman inside. You had a somewhat male perspective on how to deal with a woman's vagina. And now since then, you have the female perspective as a person who now has a vagina and a clitoris.
Right.
So that's fantastic. So when you lived as a man, I'm going to ask you the question that I asked all the other women, which is, from your first sexual experience, whether that was petting or intercourse, when was your first orgasm that you gained from being with a mate, that a mate gave you?
Well, I was a late bloomer, so that didn't happen until I was 24, almost 25. And it was the same incident. Because honestly, I think for the vast majority of men, or at least male-bodied people, it's fairly simple. I mean, it certainly was for me, even with all the psychological stuff I had going on.
Right. You have intercourse with the penis and you come.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how penis pretty much works. There's no great mystery.
Yeah.
Right. So even given all the other mental, emotional confusion and programming you had going on, you have sex and you come.
Yeah.
So the first time was when you were around 23, 24, and you had an orgasm. So that's great. Now, what did you notice then with a male body and dealing with a vagina? What were your thoughts and feelings about, what do I do to her vagina to give her pleasure?
So, I did my research as much as I could back then, and I knew approximately where the clitoris was, and that it was important, and that listening was really important, and communication was really important. And I mean, that paid off. The first time I ever had any sort of sexual intimacy with the woman who eventually became my wife, I was apparently the first person ever to find her G-spot, and it was on the first try. And I'm like, which surprised me because it really wasn't that hard.
Did you find it with your fingers or your penis?
Fingers.
Fingers.
I was like, I read about this on the internet, and keep in mind, at that point, I'd literally never done that with anyone else before.
And Tessa, would you say that the G-spot, or sacred spot is what we call it in Tantra, feels like it's in and up? If the woman's lying on her back, it's in and up. And that whereas most, the walls of the vagina feel like the sides of your cheek, the G-spot or sacred spot
it's usually
feels like
proper texture.
a walnut covered with skin that's more like the roof of your mouth with ridges. And have you noticed it ever swell and expand and contract? Ever noticed that?
Well, my wife, I don't have quite that resolution of detail with her. But.
Okay. But that is what it feels like. It feels like a mound with skin.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, but even then, looking back at it, while I knew approximately where things are, compared to what I know now, my knowledge was still kind of imprecise.
So, and was she very verbal about explaining to you, do this?
Did a lot of communication.
And back then, with those early experiences, did she orgasm pretty quickly or take time? It varied?
It varied. It usually probably took her somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes.
And did you ever feel impatient or like, oh my gosh, when's she going to come so we can get to it?
Not really.
You were a very giving soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, in my opinion, foreplay was the best part, so.
Oh, so that's good. You like the foreplay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about your vagina now. Now, you had your sex changed how long ago?
9 months ago.
9 months ago. And you took hormone replacement, and you have your own natural breasts. That's fantastic. And you have a clitoris as well. And so how do you like being touched?
So it actually took me a while to figure that out. So I discovered I was still orgasmic about 6 weeks after surgery.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, 90% of post-op trans women are, but they're always worried that you're in the unlucky 10%. However, it took me until 6 months afterwards to figure out how to orgasm consistently. And even now, I'm still like discovering how things work. The one method I know for a fact that has worked, though, whether it's me or it's a partner, although partner is still trickier, is essentially, slip a finger or two inside my vagina, thrust very quickly, while using the palm of the hand to put rhythmic pressure on my clitoris. Because one thing that made it difficult is that unless I'm really, really aroused, direct clitoral stimulation doesn't necessarily feel pleasant for me.
Is it too intense?
Yeah. I mean, because it's very sensitive, but, and it doesn't really start to feel good until, like, I'm probably 3/4 of the way there. In fact, I only literally last week discovered I can come from clitoral stimulation alone. Up until that point, I hadn't realized that.
Oh, I wonder if you were still healing.
It very well could be.
From the entire process.
From what I've been told, it's usually about a year before you're completely healed, and nerves do take a while to reconnect.
And also, it's good that you need a palm
Yeah.
on the clitoris, because have you found that even finger pads and especially fingertips is way, way too intense?
Yeah, it can be way too much.
And you can't handle the sensation of a vibrator or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I just go numb. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's great what you're learning about your vagina.
Yeah.
Do you lubricate inside your vagina?
Yeah, probably not as much as non-trans women do, but noticeably.
That's fantastic. I wonder how they managed to create that.
Without going into too much detail, a lot of the glands that are responsible for that for women have analogs in men, and they just preserve them.
Because, there's my video, I can send you guys, not my video, but the video on female ejaculation. But I don't suppose you have a sacred spot, G-spot.
Well, I'm supposed to, because the G-spot is more or less, at least physiologically, I don't know about the tantric aspects of it, is equivalent to the prostate. And at least the surgeon I went to, makes a point to save that specifically for that reason.
That's fantastic. In Tantra, there is a prostate sacred spot massage. So I wonder, forgive me if this is too personal. You don't have to answer anything you don't want to. So is that on the bottom of the vaginal canal or on the top where it is in a woman?
I haven't been able to tell yet.
Okay.
I think it's on the bottom, but it's been a little tough to tell because by the time it starts feeling good, things are getting a little frantic. So,
right. Is your wife? Has she explored in there and told you what this feels like? This might be
a little bit, yeah. It took a while because she was really afraid of accidentally breaking something. So we've been easing into it. But yeah, she has, and she finds it really fascinating. But yeah, again, we're still a little fuzzy about the location of some features.
Right. That's so awesome. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're here talking about this. Do you find that, okay, so in the man world, man body, orgasm is not a thought.
Yeah.
It doesn't take an effort. Bam, you're there. In a woman's body, does it take you longer to orgasm at different lengths of time depending on what's going on in your mind?
Oh my God, yes.
Do you get the busy mind thing that stops a woman from coming?
No. That was actually, it's been one of the hardest things for me to kind of like learn to adjust to because, as a man, even if you're stressed out or, you've got anxiety, sooner or later, if you keep doing something, something will happen.
Right.
If the penis is stimulated long enough, something will happen.
It can actually cause your mind to clear.
Yeah, and
a man mind.
It was actually, a major way I used for stress release.
Right. For women, it's opposite.
And yeah, exactly. And that really took me by surprise, even though I kind of like knew that rationally or abstractly, I didn't really understand it viscerally. And so, that was part of the frustration. I think why it took me until, the 6-month mark to figure out how to really get into the zone. Because I can't be too distracted, which is difficult because I'm also ADHD. And, you know, it can take anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. Whereas before, if, you know, I was efficient, I could be done in less than 5 minutes.
Yes. So is the busy mind thing a woman thing that came with the hormone replacement stuff?
I don't know. I know it definitely took longer after I started hormones, and I also know how I perceived orgasms changed a lot after hormones.
Because it's inside out and backwards.
Yeah.
When you're a man, you're sticking something into something.
It's not just that, it's how you perceive them. Male orgasms are intense, but they're relatively brief and they're very localized.
Oh, I'm glad you said that too. And by the way, there is a way for men to have a feminine full body orgasm as well. So it's over in seconds.
Yeah.
The man ejaculates and it's over
Where
in
as
seconds.
soon as, you know, I was on estrogen, and this is even more true since I've had surgery, you know, it's a much more diffuse thing that kind of flows up through your torso and the rest of your body. The buildup is better and it lasts longer.
Yeah. So do you know if you're having clitoral and vaginal orgasms?
I'm not sure. From what I've heard described, they sound more vaginal than clitoral, but it's been a little hard to tell.
Right. You're still deciphering.
Yeah.
You're still learning your
There
body.
are still mysteries left to be discovered.
So fantastic. Oh my gosh. Okay. And do you have to, so since they sound more vaginal, you don't have to tell your beloved, okay, whoa, back off, stop, because that's more of a clitoral thing.
Yeah.
And you're not having that where she's giving you a clitoral orgasm.
Yeah, basically, you know, as I said, is that if anything, it's the opposite. It's like, okay, now you can actually touch my clit. Because like I said, I have to be really aroused before it starts feeling good.
To be able to handle that.
So like,
sensation.
you know, normally it'll be either very diffuse pressure on the clitoris or just the vulva in general, combined with vaginal stimulation.
The palm.
And then, yeah, you know, like 3/4 of the way there, I'm like, okay, now you can move to the clit if you want to, but it's not mandatory.
Do you like her mouth on you?
We have not tried that yet, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
I have a suspicion it will do good things for me. We'll find out, though.
Yes. And also it can start, I mean, with the tongue, you could start very gentle. The palm is good, or a flat tongue and not the tip of the tongue. Very gentle, very slow. And then I need to patent my signs that say red light, yellow light. And so last but not least, Tessa, what's your ideal number of times you like to have sex in a week?
Well, unfortunately, my wife has been dealing with a lot of work stress lately, so right now it's, you know, maybe once or twice a month. However, I'd probably be pretty happy with once or twice a week.
Got it. Yeah. It's making the time to do it. Mm-hmm. That is, sometimes it's hard for couples. So thank you so much for talking to me about this. This is fantastic. You're fantastic. And so good what you're doing. So thank you. As promised, I want to take some time at the end of this video to explain the full body feminine orgasm. Now, men can also have a feminine full body orgasm, which is an extended orgasm. And this is a tiny sliver, a piece of what we teach in the Tantra. Every now and then I do a Tantra workshop when I have enough couples that are interested. There's no sexual activity or disrobing in session, but there's home play assignments. And day 1 is all about the woman and day 2 is all about the man. And so there is a way, an easy way for a man to have extended orgasm, and he does it by doing the breathing technique that I'm going to show you now. But there's other things that the woman will do, and we'll see. We'll see if we can get to that right now. Now I got to get to it because that was too much of a teaser. Okay, so to give your woman a full body feminine orgasm, what you're going to do is help her get really relaxed, and you're going to give her an orgasm, a clitoral orgasm, in whatever way she or you likes. Now, if your woman's not orgasmic, if you're not bringing her to orgasm, she can give herself an orgasm using her fingers or whatever she likes to give herself a clitoral orgasm. That's fine. Then what you're going to do is immediately on the heels of that clitoral orgasm, and a clitoral orgasm is genitally focused orgasm that's over within a few seconds. There's pulsing there. She can either tell you, okay, I'm peeking out, or you might be able to read her energy or feel it because you've got your fingers or your tongue on her, or she's pleasuring herself and she brought herself to orgasm. Then men, what you're going to do is you're going to enter her with medium speed strokes. The reason why we use medium speed strokes, even though your woman is normally, after she's had a clitoral orgasm, she just wants to pull you into her and she wants hard and fast. Usually she likes pounding. That happens a lot of time, that women feel like they want that after a clitoral orgasm. It feels really great, but what happens is the woman then dumps all of her sexual energy in the first few minutes of intercourse, sexual intercourse. So, men, you're going to use medium speed strokes. No matter how much she's pulling you, you're going to keep on using just medium speed. Even if she's pulling you and she's got her legs wrapped around and she's trying to pull you into her, medium speed strokes. I guarantee you it'll turn her on even more because you're hard and she's just had a clitoral orgasm and she wants it and she's aching for it now. She's aching for it. So women, what you're going to do while your man's doing that is you're going to use this long connected breathing. We call it connected breathing. So on the in-breath, while he's, it doesn't matter what he's doing with his strokes, whether he's going in or out, doesn't matter. But on the in-breath, you're going to tilt your body into a C, into a concave. And when you breathe out, you're going to arch. So when you breathe in on this concave breath in, you're going to squeeze your PC muscles. You're going to do like a Kegel. You're going to breathe in, squeeze. You're going to breathe out, arch and release. So it's a breath like this, and you're going to tone on the exhale. And you're just going to keep on doing that. Now it's going to start out very organized. You're going to breathe in and squeeze, out and relax. In and squeeze, out and relax. But pretty soon, you're going to start breathing up into a full body feminine orgasm, an orgasm that floods through your entire body. It starts coming up, rising up. It hits your chest, your nipples stand up. It starts flying down your arms, out the palms of your hand and the bottom of your feet. Yes. So that's how you do it. And you can go as long as he can keep pumping. And even after he orgasms, although a tantric man sometimes doesn't want to ejaculate, he'll just keep on orgasming. Because men, I'm going to explain in a second how you can do it too. Even after the intercourse is finished, you'll find your entire body fluttering and shaking, sometimes for another 20 minutes or half hour or hour or 3 hours. And when you get very well practiced at this, you can even go to work, and if you get tired in the middle of your workday, you can close your door, close your blinds, sit down in your desk chair and do your fire breath and do that squeezing of the PC muscle. The PC muscle is the muscle that we squeeze to stop peeing. So that's the muscle I'm talking about, men. Women know it as a Kegel. But you can sit down at your desk and do a few fire breaths and breathe that energy back up, and then you can breathe it back down whenever you need to into a low hum in your hips. But it really energizes and enlivens you and brightens up your day. Okay, so now women, to give your man a feminine full body orgasm, what you're gonna do is you're gonna either sit beside him or in between his legs. You're gonna touch him with your hands or your mouth in whatever way you touch him to pleasure him. And men, you're gonna do this fire breath. You're laying down, you're squeezing, you're breathing in, you're relaxing that PC muscle and breathing out. And as I said, it starts out really organized and you're controlling the breath. And after a while, the breath, it takes over and everything gets very disorganized and the orgasm's just flying through you. So that's a mini quickie version about the extended feminine full body orgasm for men. So thank you for watching this video. I'm honored that you took the time just to see what is happening in other people's worlds, what's happening in other people's lives, in their vaginas. And I hope that this video serves to help men understand that you don't have to know how to touch us because we're all so different. And we're different on different days of the month. So it's okay to ask. And maybe even men, invite your woman to have a signal that a tap on this shoulder means speed up and harder, and a tap on this shoulder means slow down and relax, or a rub or a tap, or a circle. Do a circle on his shoulder, and that means move into circles now. Now have signals so that your woman doesn't have to talk, which gets her up in her head. So I really hope this helps you. It's from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys.